Hello, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris. I am your innerwork mom coach. I'm so excited to talk about today's topic. It's going to be a little lighter. Don't be confused by the thumbnail because in this video, I want to give us back that zest for life. I want to put back in us moms that lust for life, that passion, that zest, and just have us feeling so whole and so fulfilled and trying some of these inner work tips that we're going to talk about on today's video. So please get excited, even pull out something to write with and maybe just type it on your phone. I keep saying that on my videos, but this is 2025. So anyway, just ignore that. Just pull out your notes app because it's going to be some things here that you want to try. Okay. So let me just tell you why I'm doing this video. I am doing this video for all of the moms that have kind of lost themselves on their motherhood journey after their precious little babies were born. I'm doing this for the moms that, have lost themselves completely and didn't really know who they were until they became a mom. And now they're like, oh crap, I have to think about this. I'm doing it for those moms. I'm doing it for the moms that no longer have hobbies or interests anymore. And I'm doing this for the moms that wouldn't know what sexy was unless it slapped them in the face. And there's no judgment here because that was me. So I just lost it all, ladies, in motherhood. And I felt like I was so silly and so ignorant because I never even thought I was going to be a mom. That's a whole different discussion for another day. So I had no preparation. I had never even really been around children like that. I know, sad to say, but a lot of childhood trauma there. So we will just go off of the fact that I was so silly. Back when I had my first daughter, I thought I was just going to have this baby and my life was essentially going to go back to what it was after I had her. And that's why I said that was a very silly thing to think. And it's not that it's bad to say your life looks different. In fact, it's beautiful. My life is so much more beautiful than it was before. And I don't mean to sound cliche or oh, I'm such a mom. But honestly, they really provide so much zest for life. Kids just show you how to show up and have a good life. They just do. And so we lose that along the way. Isn't that the craziest part? Sometimes as moms, we lose it. We lose our childlike enjoyment, sense of wonder, our playfulness because we're gotta do this, gotta stick to a schedule, gotta do nap time, gotta feed these kids, gotta take care of them. Oh, this one's having a meltdown. Oh, this other one's throwing her food on the floor. It's a lot. It's a lot. And if you're a stay-at-home mom, wow. Wow. You are a true hero. A hero. I do have a job still. So I love them dearly, but I also, as painful as it is to run that and swipe that credit card every week, I also appreciate that I'm able to send them somewhere to have a little help and a little bit of a breather, or else I probably would go crazy and I wouldn't know who I was at all anymore. So with that caveat, again, I'm making this video now because my children are young. They are. I have a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old. And I'm making this because I saw myself going down kind of a dark path after my 4-year-old was born, and she was born in COVID. So there was just a lot going on there the whole time. Of course, I probably lost myself. It was COVID. Everybody's going crazy. And then I had a whole baby in the midst of it. It was just a lot. But I will tell you that COVID wasn't even the thing I was worried about. I was just worried about being a first-time mom. I was just worried about keeping her safe, feeding her, being a good mom, investing time with her. It was just total survival mode. And I say this because I have a few friends with kids that are older. And I also have family members with kids that are older. And I have seen it come up a few times where, the kids, they get older and they don't need you as a mom as much anymore. And it's natural. It's so natural because they are developing their own thoughts, their own feelings, their own opinions, making their own decisions, becoming people. They're experimenting with sports and creativity and fashion, and they are doing all the things that are just going to form their little personalities in their life. And usually they're doing it from a point of curiosity, of just like excitement, enjoyment, all the things that somewhere, us as moms, because we go into mom mode, we've lost along the way. And I didn't want that to happen for me personally. So I actively work on this just about every day because mom guilt is also a thing. And I am no exception to the rule. I still have mom guilt. I still wonder if I'm doing the best thing for my kids. I still wonder if me prioritizing myself sometimes is the best thing. Can I just struggle through this even though I'm not really feeling it right now? Do I not ask for help? Do I get my husband involved? What is the right answer? We will never know as moms. I will just tell you, you will never know if you're doing it right. You just pray and hope that your example is the example that you want them to carry on through life. Because what I had to think about in my inner work is, what's the example that I want to set for my kid or my kids now? What is the example? Do I want to be this woman that's operating in a high vibration? She's taking care of herself. She's eating healthy. She has interests. She has hobbies. She's doing things for herself. That way my daughters can see that within me. I can be the role model. I can be the example. They don't have to go to friends and other people's moms or online to see how a woman should be taking care of herself and prioritizing herself and showing up confidently in the world. Or do I want to go on the opposite end of the spectrum and be sad, depressed, lonely, isolated, only pouring into them, not working on myself, not caring about my fitness or my health outside of them and their extracurricular activities? Like, kids are very smart. I mean, they just are. We love them, but they know when you're having a bad day. They also know when you're not taking care of yourself. They know what taking care of yourself means because you're taking care of them. So they're like, oh, I'm well taken care of. But mommy, I don't know if she really takes care of herself. And unfortunately, that shows up in them sometimes. When you have a zest for life, or if you don't have a zest for life, I'll say, then it shows up. And that's not where we want our kids to see us at the lowest point. We want them to see us operating at the highest level that we possibly can. And that only happens when you prioritize yourself too. Okay? So I say that because it shows up in everything, Your inner world reflects your outer world. If you are, very sad, lonely, depressed, like all of those inward feelings that you're having are going to come through with the way you walk, you talk, you address people, your confidence, your actions, your beliefs, your thoughts. Like, people will be able to tell, and your children are no different. So it's very important for us to get back that zest for life and to show our kids what that actually looks like. And honestly, take examples for them. The things we're going to go through on this list, a couple of them are going to be like, go back and be a kid again. Okay, that's how you're going to access your feminine energy as a mother, because it's very possible. And that's how you're going to get that zest for life, that wow factor. You're just going to be radiating all of this positive feminine energy as a mom. It is absolutely possible, because let's be real. As mothers, being in your feminine energy, it's like ultimate feminine energy. Being a mom, you just gave life to another human being. Congratulations. You're amazing. Okay. But does it feel like that after they're born? When you have, like I said, snot, throw up, spit up, tantrums, crying? No, it doesn't. It almost is the exact opposite. You go into straight survival mode sometimes, unless you're one of those incredible Instagram, Pinterest moms. But if you're not and you're a real person, okay, bear with me. Okay. Because it is tough. It is tough being a mom, and you don't really feel like dressing up, getting all cute when you're just going to get thrown up on, or somebody's going to come and put their handprints on you. Or if, somebody just I don't know. I don't like to use this not analogy, but there's a lot of snot. There's a lot of snot as a mom. Okay. So I did this for a long time. I did not prioritize my clothes, my health, my hair, my face, my anything. And I feel like I paid the price because my confidence diminished a little bit after that. And it's almost like I'm okay with it because at the moment I needed to learn that lesson. I needed to prioritize my baby. I needed to figure out what the heck was going on. Like I said, I had no previous experience. I was a first time mom, and then I gave birth to my second daughter, and it went smoother, which usually it does, right? The more kids you have, the easier it gets, is what I hear. And I feel like it's true. But it will rob you of your energy a lot sometimes, even when they are older, because there's just going to be times where they need you more one day, or where they don't feel good, or where they just want to push your buttons and they just want to irritate you and they just want to get a reaction. Like that will happen as a mom. However, if you're not grounded in who you are and you don't operate at a high vibration and at a high level for the majority of the time, it's going to be easy for them to throw you off and for you to just give up and for your life to just go back to being that same mundane day-to-day operating system of like, this is a mom, I'm a mom, this is who I am now, I got to run them to their 10th soccer practice of the day, or, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but I mean, hey, some kids have lots of activities and sometimes you got to say no. Like sometimes, like that's going to interfere with you and what you have going on, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, and I'm going to give you some points. Like I said, pull out your phones, take some notes, because I want you guys to do these things and show up for yourself. That way you can get that zest back for life. In motherhood, it's totally possible, okay? First thing I want you to do to get this zest for life back and not have that life be dull is find an area in your life to rebel in. And I say that because this got me thinking a few months ago. It was really funny, actually. This is why I'm making this whole video. I just want you to rebel more as a mom, okay? If I'm going to be totally honest, that's really going to be the whole point of this video. And I say that because I joined a kickboxing gym, and this was years ago. So luckily I have been able to do that off and on after being a mom, and I just love kickboxing and I just love working out. So that's kind of my thing. But they play music that I don't really listen to anymore because I just, I'm not in that mind state, but they play things to amp you up. Play a lot of hip hop, a lot of things that I just don't listen to anymore. However, it brought me back because yes, I'm a millennial and I'm an older millennial, but they played a Chingy song. You know, the one, I like the way they do that right there. Okay, just ignore I did that. But that one, if you know, you know. If you don't, wow, like maybe I am old, but I heard that and I was like, oh, this is a song I used to really listen to like all the time growing up. And the reason it brought me to this point was I had an iPod. Yes, again, old millennial. I had an iPod, and you can store music in folders very sneakily, like so parents can't find it. That way, when you're listening to all the music that you're not supposed to be listening to, you can go to it, but they would have to really look if they went to it. So I thought I was so cool, y'all. And mind you, my parents were very strict. So I didn't get to go a lot of places and do a lot of things. Clearly I had fun after I left the house, but while I was under that house, no, it wasn't going to happen. So my act of rebellion was downloading songs onto this little iPod and listening to them, thinking I was so cool. I'm like, oh, they'll never know that I'm listening to all this stuff that I shouldn't be listening to. I mean, granted, okay, they didn't know, but who cares, right? Like, as a kid, though, they're sneaky. Just be more sneaky. Be like your kids. Your kids, I know, are already trying to get away with something. I don't care if they're 1. I don't care if they're 2. I don't care if they're 10. I don't care if they're 18. They are trying to get away with something. They are being sneaky. They are rebelling in some way. So be more like them. And for me, it just reminded me of a time that was a simpler time for my life where I tried to rebel. And I don't think it worked, honestly. I think my parents probably knew, but they just let me escape with that one. And, but it made me feel good, and it made me feel like I was doing something as a kid, even though I really wasn't. So I felt like that helped me unlock something in myself a few months ago, because when I thought about it, I was like, how can I rebel a little bit more? And for me, you might laugh, because my acts of rebellion are probably not that rebellious. For me, I like to drop my kids off, call in to work, or call in with my clients and say, I can't see you today sometimes because I just want to take a day to go to the Korean spa. And if you work do that. Definitely call in one day, like once every 2 months or something. Just take a personal day. Tell your clients, they will totally understand that you just need a day. You are a person, life happens. Sometimes you do. So I like to go get my body scrubs. I like to get massages. I like to hang out in the saunas. And I just neglect all my responsibilities until about 5 when I have to go pick them up again. So that's my little act of rebellion. Another one I do, though, is I go to the movie theater sometimes in the middle of the day just because I want to see the movie. And it's probably not that rebellious, but it makes me happy. It fulfills me. And both of those activities are just very calming self-care activities that I don't have to think a lot. Because as a mom, find an act of rebellion that is soothing, that is relaxing, that is not taking away too much of your energy unless you're an energy junkie and you just have tons of pent up, built up energy, which I know as a mom, you probably don't. So I would encourage you to have your act of rebellion be something that's not too crazy. Okay. Like I said, if you get to listen to your music, wonderful. There's only so many times I can personally listen to Baby Shark. That's really a thing. My 1-year-old is obsessed. So we have to listen to it every morning for 15 minutes on the way to school. It is a lot. Okay. And then after that, I drop them off and I'm listening to podcasts about how to be a better mom or how to just be a better person in general. I know if you're listening to this, you are probably guilty of some of this too, where you go straight from kids to working on yourself, right? To be a better person, to be a better mom. Sometimes you just need to let go. You just need to release. You need to take a day. Maybe you take 2 days. I don't know how much time you need, but find something where you don't have responsibilities that you can do and that's fun to you and relaxing. So another thing that my friend and I did that we still talk about to this day, we did it for a few months and it was so much fun. We did a heels class and it's where you put on heels and you dance in a sexy way and you just are with a bunch of other women. And it is so fun, so freeing, and you just do something different. And I feel like it's low energy. Personally, I just felt like it was so much fun and it activated something in me that I just didn't even know I had. And when I did it, I was like, I feel so rebellious. Like, y'all, I felt so rebellious. And I just felt like my feminine energy was activated and it felt so good. So if you have not tried that, try it. Okay. Another thing I actually heard another creator talk about that she does, her name's Alexis. I love her and she's a feminine energy inner work coach and I follow like everything she does. So this is something that reminded me of her because she has a book club that she does for free for her community. Unfortunately, I've not been able to join her book club yet because it's always at a time that I just am not available. Because she lives in Dubai, I live here in the States in Texas, and it just never lines up, unfortunately. However, for the women who do get to join, it sounds like so much fun. She posts about it, and all they do is read romantic fantasy fiction novels, things that you were likely not allowed to read as a child. And they have fun. They talk about the inner work on it, or they just talk about how fun it was to read it and to hear about the characters. That seems like an act of rebellion because it's very playful. You're doing something that is a little bit outside the norm and you're doing something that you probably don't normally do, right? Like you're in survival mode with your children or you're having a great time, but you just don't really feel like yourself. You don't feel like you're coming to life. I feel like reading a romantic fantasy book sometimes at night is probably activating a lot of feminine energy. And since she's a feminine energy coach, I'm going to say that's a good idea. Okay. And another thing you can do that I have not done yet, but I want to, I usually go to cafes sometimes when I want to work and just order there. But something that I heard another creator talk about was like going to a fancy dinner, asking your husband or your significant other to watch the kids. So you can go to dinner by yourself, not with your family, not with him, by yourself and order dessert first. Just make it a cute little moment where you're at a luxury restaurant and you order dessert. And if you get to your dinner, wonderful. If not, you get dessert and a drink. Just be happy. Like do something that is outside the norm, outside the structured way of you being a mom. And make sure that you're just giving yourself that time, that energy, replenishing yourself, creating a little bit of rebellion, a little bit of mystery, just do something that you don't normally do as a mom. I know that's hard. I know. Think about it. There's so many things I know that you have done. Okay. If you got to go back to the pre-kid era, do that as long as it's not too crazy. But think about it, because I know you got something you've been wanting to do for a while and you just haven't done it because you're like, oh no, I'm a mom. I can't do that anymore. Sis, no, we are going to do it. We are going to do it. Okay. The next one is get a hobby or something outside of your kids. This was big for me because I like doing things. Like, I like going places. I like meeting up with friends. I just like doing things. But I know after you have kids, there is a lot of mom guilt that comes over you. And it's hard sometimes when the kids are like freaking out and you don't know if your husband or significant other can handle things. And I guarantee you, number one, they can. If you really put them in a situation where they have to figure it out, they will. But neither here nor there. Just, I know mom guilt's a thing. But I encourage you to remember that you want to be the example. You want to show your kids that they can have interests, hobbies, try new things, not be so involved in them that you lose sight of what you want to do, because then you don't become the example. They have to go somewhere else for an example, and you don't want that. Is it going to happen? Likely. But would you rather be in the competition? I promise they're always watching. They're always thinking. They're always interpreting. They're always assessing. They're so smart. You want to make sure that you're one of those role models, just one of those examples. So get a hobby, find something that you used to do before kids, and do it. Like I said, for me, I love to kickbox, but something I recently started getting into are fitness competitions. And not from a fitness competition like physique wise, because I don't do that, but I did it for, I'm doing the DECA, which is like a series of exercises that you have to do that are timed. And I did the Spartan race. If anyone knows what that is, it is incredibly difficult. And I did a 10K with 25 obstacles. Me and my husband, we did it, and our kids were not present. They had a babysitter, right? We did it, and we built our bond as a couple, and we showed each other we can do hard things. As they get older, they can absolutely join. They were very interested. We came home with our medals, and they were asking questions. They want to go work out with mommy and daddy. And granted, they're too young right now, but I know I'm laying the groundwork for having them want to get into fitness, want to take care of their bodies, and I'm being that example for them. So hopefully that was helpful. Another thing I do, I have a small group that I'm in with church, and we meet once a week. At first, ladies, it was a nightmare trying to leave the house. When I started going 4 months ago, ultimate breakdowns, tears, the waterworks, screaming, looking at me as I'm going out the door, just like screaming, mommy. I felt so bad, guys. I'm like, am I making the right decision by going to this group? I had the Holy Spirit work through me so many times. I know it's the right decision now, but I say that because the baby, the 1-year-old, I was leaving 2 days ago to go to small group, and I was like, okay, I'm going to head out. She's like, bye, mommy. Bye, mommy. My 4-year-old, bye. Bye. Like, oh, wow. So y'all ready to get rid of me. Okay. But they just know that, okay, mommy needs her time. She won't be here this evening. And my 4-year-old, she's like, can I go with you to church? Can I go with you to your small group? I said, unfortunately not until you're older. But now she's so excited and so on fire to go to church. She loves Sundays. She loves going to church. She loves seeing her little friends. She loves just creating these little stories in her head of like how amazing church is and how mommy's in a small group and how mommy knows this lady and this lady. And now she wants to make friends. Like, I'm telling you, when you start getting those hobbies and those interests, your kids will follow. They will see it, and they will have no choice but to say, wow, mom does all this stuff, and look at how amazing her life is. I want to have an amazing life too. I promise it'll happen. Another thing you could do, I say get hobbies and interests outside of children, but something I do, I love to cook. And usually during the week, I cook before the kids get home. That way it's ready for them. We just sit down and have a family meal. But on the weekends, I get my 4-year-old involved, and she is such a great little helper. She loves cooking with mommy, and I hope that this is one of the things that we build together as a hobby or an interest as she gets older, because who doesn't want a little assistant in the kitchen with you? So create something if you want with both you and your kid that y'all can do together, and that really just builds and solidifies the bond. I do recommend creating your own hobbies first, and then later, if you want to bring in your kids to another hobby, wonderful. But again, just don't make it all about them. Like, do it because you really want to. Like, I enjoy cooking. Don't do it just because you think that's the thing to do. You will not increase your life force energy. Your life will still be dull because then you'll just be frustrated because you don't want to be doing the thing in the first place. Like, make sure that you're doing your hobbies and your interests for you first, okay? And then the next thing that I wanted, or the last 2 points that are very short that I'm just going to mention, is that really helped me when it came to like bringing out my feminine energy and not having my life be so dull. Of course, as we go through pregnancy, weight fluctuates, body changes. Okay, wonderful. After you find your hobby, your interest, and you find your area to rebel, I'm sure you're going to feel so much better in your life. You are going to want to buy something new for yourself. I recommend some outfits. I bought 3 new outfits that I really love, and one of them is a little red dress that I've just never had. I've never had a cute little red dress, and I bought it for myself, and I feel so good, so sexy in it. And I will post a picture of a Valentine's Day dinner that we went to if I can find it, but if not, sorry. But anyway, it really just helped me. It helped me not feel like a mom for a night. And then I told my husband, you know what would be amazing? If I would feel so good if you could just take me out to dinner in this little red dress. And he did. And since then, we've been on many dinner dates, right? Just reconnecting with yourself will help you reconnect with your significant other too. And they'll see that you're taking care of yourself. You have your own interests, your own hobbies, and they'll want to spend time with you even more because they may be taking you for granted, being at home all the time with the kids, not going anywhere, not doing anything. You don't want to be taken for granted anymore. That will not add any life to your life. It will only make it more dull. You will feel underappreciated. You will feel resentful. You will not enjoy that. Okay, so buy yourself some new outfits. Tell your man that you want to be taken on a date. And when you go on that date, dress up, okay? Just do your makeup, do your hair. I had my locks redone that day, or maybe the day before, and then I did full face of makeup. I had my little red dress. Like, I got so many compliments too, and I was like just feeling so good. Like, just, I love being a mom, but I didn't feel like a mom in that moment, and I felt so good. So it helped a lot. And then the last point that I just want to touch on is connecting with your friends, mom friends or not mom friends, right? Not everybody, not all your friends have kids, but connecting with them on a deeper level and talking about things that are outside of your children sometimes is okay. I love to talk about my children with my mom friends and my other friends. They're always asking, how are they doing? I'm like, oh, they're doing great. How are your kids doing? But it a lot of times keeps things surface level. When you don't talk about, what you're doing in your business or what your health is like right now or how your healing journey is going or, just not talking about kids and work, like anything. You could talk about anything else. Maybe not the state of our country, just no news topics, but just go deeper with some of your relationships. That will help you so much get that zest for life. Like, me and my friend had such a good conversation a few weeks ago. We were talking about marriage and her business and her being an artist, and I was telling her about my business and coaching, and we were just bouncing ideas off of each other. And we talked about kids in the beginning, but we were like, wow, that was a really good conversation. She even told me, she's like, it's kind of nice to not always talk about the kids. And I was like, yeah, it is. It's like refreshing. Put that refreshing aspect back into your life and watch how your life transforms, ladies. I am so passionate about this. I am so passionate about reconnecting back to yourself after motherhood and not always second guessing, not always letting the mom guilt win, always stepping into motherhood from a space of, if I'm not taken care of, my child will not be taken care of either. And that is the important part. And then also showing up as a role model. I'm so passionate about all of these things. So I'm going to end it here, but if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I will be happy to answer them, and I hope this was helpful. Until next time, keep living life, ladies. Bye.